10. The Corona beer brand was damaged. Discussion about misfortune. The Corona lager logo has a crown on it. Corona signifies crown in Spanish and Latin. Fortuitously, the coronavirus got its name from the crown-like spikes on the outside of the infection particles, when a few people originally caught wind of the new infection. They were befuddled and may have related it with the Corona brew brand. They may have even accepted that the infection was spread by drinking the brew. It is muddled the amount of an effect this mixed-up conviction has had on deals of the lager, as different sources have announced various outcomes. As indicated by YouGov, a British statistical surveying firm, Corona Lager's buzz score, a proportion of the ubiquity of the brand, has dropped from 75 to 51 since the start of 2020. 9. The whistleblower scientist was killed by COVID-19. It's almost like the coronavirus is trying to eliminate any witnesses. In an unsettling irony, Li Wenliang died after contracting COVID-19. Li, a Chinese doctor who worked at Wuhan Central Hospital, was known for being vocal about the dangers of this emerging virus. At least as early as December 30, 2019, Li warned fellow medics about the possibility of an outbreak. The Chinese police advised him to stop making false comments, in a government attempt to sweep the situation under the rug. After Li's unfortunate death, a big part of the Chinese population was understandably upset. This propelled the hashtags Wuhan government owes Dr. Li Wenliang an apology, and We Want Freedom of Speech to trend on Weibo, a Chinese social media site. The Chinese government was quick to censor both hashtags too. This latest controversy only adds fuel to the difficult relationship between Chinese authorities and their population. In 2019, the tension between mainland China and Hong Kong reached a breaking point due to resistance from Hong Kong against the government's policies. 8. The coronavirus is deadlier for men. Chinese researchers have discovered that people are similarly liable to be tainted by the coronavirus. Be that as it may, fatalities in China have happened at a pace of 2.8% for men, contrasted with 1.7% for ladies, proposing that men are bound to bite the dust when contaminated. Remember that these measurements may downplay the pace of contamination in the two gatherings, so these rates could be overhauled with new information. At present, the most likely explanation behind the sex distinction can be credited to something that researchers definitely knew. The female-resistant reaction is more grounded than that of males, although the specific purpose behind this is as yet obscure. It is accepted to be connected to either the more elevated levels of estrogen hormone in ladies, or the way that every lady has two X chromosomes instead of a man's one X chromosome. Both factors add to invulnerability. This sexual orientation distinction could happen for developmental reasons, as ladies need to stay sound for delayed occasions to endure kids and support them. 7. COVID-19 has already killed more people than SARS. As of this composition, we are around a quarter of a year into this new plague. Is there any genuine explanation behind panic? At first look, it appears that there may be. In an outright sense, Wuhan influenza has just murdered a greater number of individuals than SARS, serious intense respiratory disorder, which was brought about by another strain of coronavirus in the mid-2000s. Notwithstanding, the rates tell an alternate story. As of this composition, 101,906 individuals have contracted COVID-19 and 3,465 have passed on of it. On the other hand, 8,098 individuals turned out to be sick with SARS and 774 died. Up until now, the general passing rate from COVID-19 has all the earmarks of being 3.4%. while the casualty rate from SARS was an incredible 9.6%. Of course, any passings from COVID-19 are too much. In any case, a significant concern with respect to this ailment is the means by which effectively and subtly it can spread. In the event that you are inside 1.8 meters (6 feet) of a tainted individual, you are viewed as in danger. That makes any metro a potential problem area for contamination. Furthermore, it can take as long as about 14 days for an individual to create manifestations. That makes this new infection nearly as simple to contract as the regular bug. However, COVID-19 is undeniably increasingly deadly. 6. The coronavirus may also kill the global economy in 2020. The worldwide economy carries on to some degree like a living being, and it began 2020 with a frightful bug. As per the World Bank, the underlying projections for worldwide development in 2020 were 2.5%, somewhat over the post-emergency low recorded in 2019, to exacerbate the situation. The coronavirus plague is influencing China, one of the most impressive economies on the planet, as indicated by a February 2020 Reuters survey of market analysts in China. Their country's yearly financial development in the primary quarter of 2020 is relied upon to decrease to 4.5% from around 6.0% in the past quarter. Much of this is because of the flare-up, and it's required to influence every one of us. In any case, these financial specialists foresee that monetary development could bounce back rather rapidly if the flare-up is successfully contained. How can this scourge hurt the economy so dramatically? Well, individuals are significantly less slanted to travel and utilize different administrations as of now, since they fear being presented to the infection. Nonetheless, we ought to anticipate that an expansion in memberships should Netflix and other spilling stages as individuals marathon watch appears while covering up in their homes. 5. Some people believe that the coronavirus is a bioweapon going rogue. Where there is the internet, there are paranoid notions. The COVID-19 scourge has been dealt with in a shockingly full-grown manner by individuals on the internet, aside from an image or two. Notwithstanding, the flood of new cases outside Wuhan, particularly in South Korea and Italy, has driven a few people to be dubious. The secretive passing of the informant didn't help either. These theories are false, in spite of the fact that they unquestionably have pulled in the consideration of numerous individuals. As indicated by one hypothesis, China built the coronavirus as a weapon. The infection was then discharged to make space for rural expansion. Even lawmakers appear to have connivance fever. U.S. Senator Tom Cotton likewise blamed the Chinese government for injustice. 4. Like everything else, the virus has become an issue of racism and politics. Wuhan flu is not the first outbreak that originated in China. Notoriously, SARS and the Asian flu also started there. On top of the fear and uncertainty generated by this new epidemic, Asians have to deal with racism and xenophobia. Anti-Chinese sentiment has been building up in the past 2 months. These reactions are perhaps understandable but definitely not reasonable. Most of the spread to other nations is due to non-Asians visiting China and returning to their countries rather than the other way around. Reports of xenophobia against Chinese people are becoming common. "Yo, virus boy, don't infect us," was yelled at a Chinese-Canadian student in Vancouver. In another example, the hashtag #ChineseDon'tComeToJapan was trending on Twitter among Japanese users. On the other hand, the Chinese government downplaying or outright lying about the virus is not helping matters much. 3. You are not immune even after surviving the first encounter with the coronavirus. Would lightning be able to strike a similar spot twice? All things considered, indeed, that is the general purpose of flood arresters. Tragically, with regards to the coronavirus, A similar rule applies. Let's state you got the infection and had the option to bob back. You are fine, right? No, not so much. As of late, a Japanese lady was determined to have COVID-19 for the subsequent time. The lady is a visa transport control in Osaka, which makes her all the more handily presented to contamination because of the quantity of individuals with whom she interacts. That news is dreary on the grounds that it uplifts the potential effect of the malady. Besides, it makes the improvement of a compelling antibody less feasible. Researchers are as yet attempting to make sense of how the coronavirus contained a similar individual twice, or if there is another clarification for the twofold positive outcomes. 2. Did it all start with bats, snakes, or even pangolins? Now, numerous individuals have caught wind of the most plausible beginning of the coronavirus, bats. China has gained notoriety for having a particular neighborhood cooking, as wild creatures can be purchased at open-air showcases and eaten. One local delicacy incorporates a purportedly delightful, and very dreadful, bat soup. Scientists are right now attempting to figure out which creature is liable for transmitting the infection to people. Yet they are as yet uncertain. 2 other potential guilty parties incorporate snakes and pangolins. If you're new to pangolins, they are charming, well-evolved creatures with layered bodies that can twist into a ball when under danger. Pangolins can be found normally in Asia and Africa. Be that as it may, these animals are dealt everywhere throughout the world since they are viewed as a delicacy. It makes you feel that this entire disaster could have been maintained a strategic distance from if individuals would simply disregard wild creatures. 1. A virus-detecting giant robot was roaming New York. In the event that you are in New York toward the beginning of February 2020, you may have run over a Make Sense of Straight of Isaac Asimov's robot. This computerized paramedic was made by Promobot, a Pennsylvania-based organization. The droid was being tried in and around parks, supposedly. The 152-centimeter-tall robot could screen for the coronavirus by meandering the boulevards, inquiring as to whether they had fevers. In Bryant Park, the robot was immediately prohibited for not having a permit. Some people who ran into the droid depicted it as charming. Others thought it was needless excess and dreadful. They clearly didn't realize that the bot could move to Pitbull and sing Beatles tunes. Oleg Kvorkutsev, the organizer of Promobot, clarified, "We were attempting to educate individuals regarding the infection and bring thoughtfulness regarding the problem.